Hello, viewers, and welcome back to another Friday, and it's time for another My Hero Academia read-through. And today we're going to be tackling Chapter 248. And in the previous chapter, Endeavor has just started training with the top three with Midoriya, Bakugo, and Todoroki. And hopefully we don't have like a huge time skip. So, so let's get started on this chapter, on Chapter 248. Before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It only takes two simple clicks. Click, click. Enjoy the episode. So, on the first page, we get a full page spread of Uraka and Froppy going back to the group they were with during season 4. That they're going to be joining in season 4 with Dragon Lady and I'm sorry, I just can't remember their names right now. And there's a bit of a writing. The Ryuku team is also out on a mission, and we get our chapter number title. So, My Hero Academia chapter number 248, One by One. And let's move on to the proper chapter itself. So we start off on, and just giving you guys a little reminder, I think this is a 12-page chapter, so it's going to be very short this week. So right off the bat, we continue sometime after the previous chapter, and we see Midoriya just doing his best, zooming around, jumping around the buildings. And we start off with Midoriya's dialogue, and it goes, "It's not as though I wasn't rushing. Deku embarks on his second internship. I received my quirk when I was 14, so yeah. While everyone else was testing the limits of their abilities, I was still learning the fundamentals. And while this section's going out, we see Midoriya and Bakugo's just flying around, jumping building to building, just trying to surpass Endeavor. And we get more Midoriya dialogue in the next panel. After learning how to control One for All with my full cowl, I forced myself to learn how to use it subconsciously. And in the last panel, we get a bit of a flashback to when we first learned about Hellboy Hellboy, and he said, and we remember what he said.
This just got a whole lot more interesting.
Listen up, kid. From here on, you're going to develop 6 more quirks, and this is how he got Black Whip. That was like a year ago. My God, it's been a long time. So we move on to the next chapter. The next page, and we see a criminal in progress, and this criminal happens to strangely look like President Mike, but without his superhero costume and just riding a motorcycle and just showing a face of, oh my God, I have to bug. I have to run. And more of Midoriya's dialogue. I got to hurry up and master them all. Yeah, you're gonna need it for what's coming in 4 months. And we see the criminals gets the bright idea to turn right, and there's a right turning coming up ahead. But as soon as he tries it, whoosh! And the criminals just huge fire just blocks his exit, and the criminal just says ow 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 ow, because Endeavor just beats our 2 heroes to this criminal biker, and we get Mummy Man just talking. The hit and runner has been apprehended, and Endeavor continues. Looks like you 3 were too slow. Okay, yeah, they were not fast enough. And we go to Bakugo, and he starts a conversation with Todoroki, and Bakugo starts, buzz off. It just takes me time to warm up in the winter. And Shoto continues, hey Bakugo, did you notice? And Bakugo just simply turns his head very creepily and responds to that question. Are you saying there's something you noticed that I didn't? Go on, enlighten me! And I think the Horns guy says, he's so pretty. What? He's so pretty? Are you. Look, Horn guy, are you. I'm not questioning that I'm not against gay people, but, I think he might be gay. I'm not 100% sure because by saying that, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. And we get Shoto's explanation in the next panel, and he starts. He was shooting fire from his feet whenever he accelerated. I'm not sure if you saw or not, but the jet burn he used back in his fight at Karasuryu, that was around where the high end, how Endeavor was fighting the high end Nomu that he was having a hard time with. And let me continue. It's most likely done by compressing those flames to heighten his acceleration. And Shoto gets his inner monologue and he says, I can tell since I have the same quirk. Controlling the heat is necessary to reach speeds that fast is a monumental task. And next panel we see Bakugo's response to that, and he says, "Yeah, it's a total ripoff of my explosion. Are you saying it took you until now to realize that?" And Shoto just counter arguments that statement, and he says, "Yeah, sure. I suppose you could call it a ripoff. Well, technically, it's kind of the other way around. It's not technically a ripoff. You're just doing it the same way. I'm just saying." And then, as soon as everything clears up, Endeavor just says on the next page, he just flies off. And he says, "By the way, in case you three haven't already noticed, that path opens up to the main road." And he was just explaining that turning in the chapter. And Mummy Guy answers, just asks the big three, and the Mummy Guy says, "You can leave this guy to us. After all, it's pretty rare to see him teaching anyone besides Shoto-kun." And Midoriya responds to that, "Oh, I see." And Midoriya, and as soon as that over, the big three, that's Shoto, Bakugo, and Midoriya, just tried to go after Endeavor. And Midoriya saying, "You were cutting off his escape route with your flames." And Mummy Guy just says, "We'll catch up with you later." And in the next panel, we cut forward to where Endeavor is right now, and he's talking, and he says, "During my fight in Kirisu, I was able to split the work, with Hawks. But a true hero must be someone who is able to handle every role on their own." And on the next panel, he continues, "Also, for the record, I noticed the glass villain's helpers before you did. Got it?" So he's going way, 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 way back to a couple of weeks ago that Nostradamus' henchmen were just about to whack Endeavor, and it kind of answers the question, did Endeavor see them coming? I thought he was completely caught off guard. I mean, he knew his helpers were right there, so he was going to get the situation under control. And Bakugo just says, "You're so damn petty!" And Madara just says, "Kachan." And we move on to the next page. And we get on the next first panel on page 6, and it's Endeavor, and he continues speaking. "Bakugo, you said you wanted to learn what you couldn't do, right?" And we cut away to Bakugo, and he's just being, well, Bakugo. And then, next panel, we head back to Endeavor, and he continues, "I'll admit that mobility is top notch. Well, for a rookie, at least." And we cut back again to Bakugo while Endeavor continues, "But as you are right now, you will never be able to surpass me. And we cut back again to Endeavor. This winter might just be your training, but you're just. But you're. But if you are too slow, you won't be able to use your normal excuses anymore. And Bakugo's still angry about that. And then again, we cut back to Endeavor, and he continues, "This is not a classroom. If you are ever too slow, you won't be losing points." And we see the big three catching up, and we see a woman strangely terrified. And on page 7, it actually turns out that two people were going to be run over by a truck, and Endeavor stopped it in time. And Endeavor finishes his talk, and he says, "But rather human lives." And we see the next panel, we see the big three, Shoto, Bakugo, and Midoriya, seeing all this. Endeavor just stopping the truck about running over two guys. And continuing on to the next panel, we see Endeavor still continuing, and he talks some more. "Shoto, Bakugo, for the time being, I'm giving you both the same assignment." And Bakugo continues answering, "Why am I always grouped together with this guy?" Yeah, you've been seem to be around Shoto a lot. And Shoto kind of, and in the last panel, Shoto answers the argument. "I suppose it's related to acquiring flash fire." And Endeavor rockets off again, and he says, "Storage and release. The condense the con- condension condension of power." Sorry. And next panel, after Endeavor flies off, we see the next panel. We see Midoriya talking to, just trying to calm the woman down from calming the woman that was about to be run over by probably assuming the driver of the truck. And I think this is more Endeavor talking. I'm not 100% sure by the speech bubbles here. And I think it's Endeavor, and he says, "The ability to momentarily draw forth your maximum power, or alternatively, the ability to focus your power on a single shot. Practice as many times as it takes until you can achieve one of those two without even having to think about it." And on the next panel, we see Midoriya and Bakugo, and Midoriya continues, "Kachan, that's pretty much the core concept of Europe, 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 your AP shot." And Bakugo answers that question, and he says, "Why the hell do you know the core concepts of my moves? Stay away from me!" And next panel, we go to the sky, and some time goes by, and on the last panel, we see Shoto, Bakugo, Midoriya, and Endeavor probably having lunch by the looks of the next panel. They're having lunch. So it's around lunchtime, and Endeavor starts talking. "Shoto, halfway you're already halfway to achieving both. First, let's work on focusing your power. Try taking your mental image of sharpening your ice and applying it to your fire." Move on to page 9, and we get another panel of Midoriya and Endeavor, and Endeavor speaks while they're having lunch. "Deku, you're already capable of momentarily drawing forth from your maximum power." And he says also, "Let's see." And Midoriya answers, "Yes, sir." And next panel, we get Endeavor talking more. "Can you do it subconsciously?" And Midoriya answers the question in the next panel. I can, I can with my full cowl, but for my air force, I still have to think about it." And Endeavor continues on the next panel while looking at a different direction, with Midoriya looking at Endeavor's back. And Endeavor says, in that case, your first step will be to learn to use Air Force subconsciously. Forget about your secondary ability for now. And Midoriya tries to argue against that, and he says, but to do that, I need to learn how to think in parallel. And Shota and Bakugo's just having lunch, and they're just looking at this argument. On page 10, continues the Endeavor continues the conversation, and he says, "Listen up, everyone. On Listen up. Everyone on the Earth, everyone on Earth is already capable of parallel processing on a daily basis, and subconsciously to boot." And next panel, we see a car and a driver, and Endeavor continues. Just look at that guy, yawning and driving at the same time. It's not like he always know how to drive. Steering, acceleration, braking, processing what's ahead of and behind him at all times. He learned each of those one by one, then practiced until he could do them all together subconsciously. And we cut back to Midoriya while this is going on, and Endeavor continues. Start by learning to do two things together subconsciously. When you're done with that, add a third. Add on a third. No matter how strong or powerful an ability may be, that power is built on a foundation of smaller parts stacked on top of each other, one by one. And on the next page, we get a bit of flashback to All Might. And I don't know who's speaking. I think this is still Endeavor, I'm not 100% sure. Sure, there may be exceptions, but for the rest of us, growing one step at a time is the only path forward. At least, that's the only path I know. And we cut away from that flashback, and we get the top three, and Endeavor continues. Even if you practice the same abilities, the same experience you'll be gaining here is worlds away from what you gained at school. And Endeavor turns his head, and he finishes up his speech. Take the power you fostered at school, and now, at the agency of the number one hero, make that power your own. And we cut to black on the next page, and on page 12, and we get Midoriya's dialogue for quite some time. So he starts. About 1.5 years ago, I was entrusted with all too much power by All For One. So it's been a year and a half. So he's I think he's 15 now. So give me a sec. Yeah, Midoriya's 15 years old at this point. And let me see. And here we go. So Midoriya's 15 at the moment, and we continue with Midoriya's dialogue. Since enrolling in UA, I've gained a lot of experience, and now it looks like I'm about to be dragged forward at blinding speed, but my fastest possible speed. And before we get more into that, we see Endeavor interrupts the next panel, and he says, fail as many times as you need to. Whenever the three of you succeed or fail, it will have zero effect on my work as Endeavor. And we go back to Midoriya, and he gets his dialogue, and he says, one by one. And we move on to page 13, the last page of the chapter, and we get a first panel. The first panel on the last page, it says
1 week later.
And it's been a week since then. So we cut away to the Shoto estate, and someone's having a bit of a conversation and saying, "Ah, hello, father. I heard you were working with Shoto right now." And Endeavor's on one end of the phone, and he answers, and that he's together with his friends. Why didn't you tell me? Oh, that's the person on the phone. And what? And that he's together with his friends? Why didn't you tell me? I was so surprised when I first heard the news. In any case, I was thinking, with school starting again soon, it'll be hard to get any time together, so. And we get to see it's Shoto's big sister, and she answers, and she leads the last panel, and she says, "Why don't you bring everyone over to our place today? I'll make the best dinner you ever see." Oh, God, this is gonna get nasty. And a little caption saying, an unexpected proposal from Todoroki's sister. And chapter number My Hero Academia chapter number 248 end. And yes, there is news. I did bring this up yesterday, and it's saying, yes, we will be on break next week. My Hero Academia will resume in issue 50 of WJ. So, yeah. So that was chapter 248, and it's basically just a training chapter. And it seems that in 2 weeks we're going to get a dinner chapter at the Shoto estate. And everybody knows that there's still Shoto's middle brother, and yeah, and he doesn't like Endeavor for all the stuff that he pulled during their childhood with Shoto. So if he ever swings by to the dinner table with Shoto and Bakugo and Midori being there, things are gonna get mega awkward. Yeah, it's going to be one awkward dinner as that middle brother shows up and they start talking about the eldest brother that we've been hearing about when we don't know anything about that. So I'll see you in 2 weeks when we get chapter 249, and hopefully we don't get a Shrek 2 awkward dinner scene. And then I would have to play that joke. So yeah. So until then, I hope you all have a good 2 weeks, and I'll see you then. So until then, I will see you in chapter 249. And yeah, this is Josh24214 signing off for today. Bye for now.